parking lot full this morning. I was afraid a week before school starts, everybody had to be at the beach one more week, but clearly not. So thank you all for coming this morning. It is my pleasure and excitement to introduce your speaker, the 30th president of the University of South Carolina, but it's not really an introduction. It's more of a welcome home. Because many of you may realize Dr. Amiridis spent more than 20 years with us here at the University of South Carolina. But before I get there, let me tell you a little bit about where he grew up and how he got here. A native of Greece, Dr. Amiridis, when he graduated college, was offered a full-ride scholarship at one of the best engineering schools in America, chemical engineering schools actually in America, and took it, sight unseen, never been to America before, at the University of Wisconsin. So remember, you're growing up in Greece. It's a little warm in Greece. You're used to wearing shorts. You look at the weather forecast and it says typical temperatures in Wisconsin are 36, 45. And you think, that's hot, because you're on Celsius. So you move to Wisconsin with a small bag, shorts, t-shirts, and you arrive in 1985 to realize it's not quite so cold, or not quite so warm at the University of Wisconsin. But he thrived there, did an amazing job, but as soon as he got his PhD, he realized perhaps I should move a little further south than Wisconsin. And he chose the University of South Carolina. So again, he joined us here and took positions as first as a chemical engineering professor, became department chair rather quickly, ultimately dean of the College of Engineering and Computing, and we have an amazing engineering school, as you all know as well. But from 2009 to 2015, he served as the University of South Carolina's Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and its Provost. For those of you not familiar with the university system, that's the second highest job at the university, responsible for all the academics. And if you've noticed anything about the University of South Carolina in the last 10 to 15 years, our academics are stellar and continue to grow and continue to be recognized nationally, in great part to Michael Amiridis and the faculty. But he was recruited in 2015 to leave our university and become the chancellor, the president, at the University of Illinois in Chicago, which again, a little colder, but great organization, large university, great experience, and Michael couldn't say no to that opportunity, particularly since Dr. Pastides had not yet decided to retire, so opportunity for him to leave. But circumstances change, the world turns in unique ways, and a little over a year ago, you might recall, we were back on the hunt for a new university president. Thankfully, we'll take a little credit here in Lexington, thankfully one of our own had a great deal to do with Michael's recruitment. Some of you may know Thad Westbrook. Thad is one of two sons of the late Judge Mark Westbrook, after whom we've named our Judicial Center. Thad is on the University of South Carolina's board of directors. Thad's a longtime resident of Lexington, as you know, grew up here, lives in Lexington, and chaired our search committee. So without Lexington and Thad, Dr. Amiridis wouldn't be here. So he owes you all a great deal later today. But we want to take a little bit of credit for that. But Thad did an amazing job recruiting an amazing individual with great experience, knowledge, and understanding of the culture of South Carolina, the culture of the University of South Carolina, its importance not only to the education needs in our community, but to our business needs. You'll get to know Michael here in a second. He's an amazingly intelligent, personable collaborator with business. And I have firsthand experience with that. As you know, we just collaborated on a large project to help double the size of the University of South Carolina Nursing School over the next few years, building the new building across from the hospital. And we're real excited about that. That kind of collaboration with businesses in our community is how the University of South Carolina will continue to thrive, but more importantly, how the Midlands will continue to thrive. And as the Midlands grows, as the University of South Carolina grows and stays strong, each of your businesses does as well. So whether you're a Gamecock fan or a Clemson fan, it doesn't matter. Here, we want the University of South Carolina to thrive and be incredibly successful. And no one will help us do that better than Dr. Michael Amiridis. Michael, please join us.
Well, good morning, everyone. And thank you, Todd. Thank you for a great introduction, and thank you for handing me what may be the most impactful decision during my career in the next few years as president. Because just a few days after I came here, after I officially started in the first week of July, Todd and I were on the same podium and talking about a new partnership that achieved something that we hadn't achieved for decades. Crossed the bridges and brought the university into Lexington County for the first time, establishing an academic building that they are building, the Lexington Medical Center is building in their new campus, that will allow us, as you heard, to double the number of nurses that we have. And all of these nurses now, all of the nurses that we are educating, will be in that building for the last 2 years of their education. And at the same time, opening the door to have residencies for the first time in the Lexington Medical Center, with which the University of South Carolina is going to work. At the end of all of this, when we will do the sum a few years later, and in positions like me, you have a window of opportunity, you know when the window opens, you don't know when the window is going to close. But at the end, when you are looking at the sum of what has happened, I know that this decision, that I had nothing to do with, by the way, I just walked into it and came to celebrate and said, look what we are doing, right? I know that this decision is going to be one of the most impactful decisions that we have made as an institution, expanding our partnerships with we have our partner in Prisma, and now having a new partner with the Lexington Medical Center, and that's all because of the CEO of the Lexington Medical Center. So thank you for doing this. And thank you also for the invitation. You know, I love this chamber early morning meetings. For the last 7 years that I was in Chicago, I was a member of the board of the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. Our meetings there were at 7 a.m. You're all a bit soft. 7:30 is kind of soft. But they were some of the best meetings, especially during election periods, because every governor was stopped by the Chicago Chamber of Commerce, and everybody who wanted to be a governor stopped by there, and a lot of exchanges of information and a lot of collaborations and partnerships were built during these meetings. And especially I'm thrilled to be in this Chamber of Commerce, given the history and the impact that the university has with Lexington County. As of last spring, where is the most recent data that we have, we know that there are approximately 26,000 USC alumni living in Lexington County. We have close to 4,000 students that they're current students from Lexington County. We have close to 2,000 employees who live in the county, and of course we have a lot of partners that we work with. So this is home for the University of South Carolina as well. Speaking about home, this is for us, for Iro and myself, was a very easy decision to come back home. As Todd mentioned, we have been here 21 years. Both of our kids were born here, they were raised here. As I was coming in, and I don't remember who it was at the door, but one of your members told me, I'm paying my checks to the university. And I said, I have been paying my checks to the university for 7 years, and this is the first semester this September that I'm not paying a check to the university because our second son just graduated and is heading to Maryland for his graduate work. And if you ask my kids, where are you from? They will say, I'm from South Carolina, but my parents are from Greece. So that's how they identify themselves. So South Carolina is home for us. But I'm also, very proud to come back to a university that has a very strong brand. And you realize this when you move outside of South Carolina. When I went to Chicago and I found how many of the Dallas School of Business graduates work in the financial district of Chicago. We had an alumni reception a few weeks before we left, and there were approximately 100 of them that showed up. If 100 showed up at 5 o'clock after work in downtown Chicago, that means that we have several hundred out there, and these are the statistics. Right? And you see the impact that this university has, and the brand that it has. You see it not because we're doing great marketing. You see it because we have great success. It's the reputation of the business school and the success of the business school. It's the reputation of the honors college and the recognition of the honors college as the #1 in the country, as is the international business program. It's the reputation that we have for the first year experience. We are known across the country as the ones who invented the first-year experience 50 years ago. They started talking about what can we do with students to have a great experience and be successful at a time, and I know there's a number of engineers among you, at a time that you walk into some kind of convocation for new engineers, and they would tell you, look to the right, look to your left, only one of you is going to make it through. Right? And at that time, the university was investing into an experience that retains students and helps them graduate. It's a university that is known for the strength that we have in graduating African-American students. We're in the top 3% in the country in terms of the universities that graduate African-American students. And it's a university, we don't talk much about health sciences, but it's a very strong health sciences university. It's a university that actually serves all of the underserved areas and the rural areas. We're number one in the country in terms of placing our physicians in primary care positions in underrepresented rural areas. And it's a university that provides around 100 degree programs in 50 different areas of study in all of the health sciences. So we are building the future of South Carolina when it comes to health sciences, and we're building the future of South Carolina in so many different areas. Now, you will question my sanity because Todd is right. Living in January or in February or in March in the Midwest, and he's from Michigan, he knows it. It's a little bit worse in Illinois, and it is a little bit worse even in Wisconsin. I don't think these are inhabitable places. Humans do not have the capacity to live in this way. But having said this, living from there and coming here on July 1st is not a wise decision either. So, hot and empty. The university is empty in July. But it was a good decision because it gave me the opportunity for the last 6 weeks to focus externally, to meet and hear from different stakeholder groups, meeting with community groups, meeting with state and federal officials. Congressman Wilson knows that I made it. I was in DC for 3 days last week, and if you haven't visited his office, it's a museum. It's fantastic. What he has there is fantastic. I spent more time actually looking at stuff around the walls and the bookcases. And it was something, it's a unique experience, and I know he will welcome all of you. Everybody is welcome there. But also, going around the state. In fact, as soon as I finish today, I'm heading down to Beaufort, where we have a campus, and I know you're thinking, oh, that's a nice vacation. It's 2 days of meetings at Beaufort that go until 7 o'clock at night, to hear what the expectations are, and to hear what the needs are, and to hear also how can we be engaged, and how can we help in your efforts to advance the economy of the state, and to advance also the health of the state, the education of the state. It was also a good time to complete the hires that I had to do in my cabinet. Many of you may have read in the newspapers, they were making the point that there are a lot of interim positions. Yeah, and interim positions usually are not good positions. So we closed. Everybody, all the vice presidents have been hired by now. Most recently, we hired Michelle Dolenhoff, who is coming back after 9 years in Louisiana, who was our chief development officer. Rex Tolliver, who is a fantastic vice president for student affairs, that worked very well with me in Chicago, and he's moving back to the South also. He's from Louisiana as well. And by now, we have the cabinet ready to go, and we don't have any openings left. So if you were planning to apply for one of them, you will have to wait for a period of time, because what I have been focusing on is experience and stability. This university needs experience to move forward in all of the high-level positions. We don't have time for experiments, and this university needs stability, needs a leadership group that will be here for a period of time and will lead the university forward. And it's good that we've managed to do all of this during the last few weeks, because they're coming next week. And there will be a lot of them. And this is wonderful. One of the most attractive components of working in higher education is the renewal that you see every year. In fact, if you ask a lot of us who have been in higher education for a number of years, the strange thing is that the students get younger every year, but it's wonderful to see them coming back. And they're coming back with their dreams, with their aspirations, their expectations. Some of them already are counting the days until the first football game, and they are excited. And it's an exciting time for the university, not only because everybody will be back and we will start working together as an academic community again, but this is a unique class that is coming this year, because this is the largest freshman class that the University of South Carolina had in its history. We had a great success this year. 42,000 students applied to come to the university. And we expect, and I will not get into numbers, because when I speak with numbers, I want to have the numbers, the exact numbers. We will count the way that we do the business. We freeze the numbers after 2 weeks in, so everything has been cleared out. Whoever was supposed to come has come. Whoever is not coming is not coming. So we have an official number in a couple of weeks through the semester that will go in and we will announce. But the bottom line is that if you count everybody, if you count the new freshmen, if you count the transfers that they're coming to us, we expect to have approximately 8,000 new students into the university. And you can imagine what this means in terms of growth for the university. They will want to know, both them and the faculty members, what are we going to do now? All right, tell us where we're heading. So what they will hear from me is that for over 200 years now, 220 years, the University of South Carolina is consistently building the future of the state. And we build the future of the state by educating the next generation of leaders, and we are building the future of the state by advancing the quality of life in all of our surrounding communities. And we advance the quality of life by advancing health, by advancing culture, and by advancing economic opportunity. That's what we will continue to do. Now, students will say, okay, this is fine, but how about me? What are you going to do other than educating me? What are you going to do about me? And my answer to them is that we will do everything that we can to protect access and affordability, first of all, to make sure that everybody has access to the university, especially the students that they are first generation and low income students. I'm one of them. My wife is one of them. We know the challenges that these students are facing, and we want to make sure that they are given the opportunity to move up socioeconomically through the elevator that higher education is representing. The best way to break cycles of poverty is higher education. There's no question about it, and we have the data. We have the numbers to back this up in terms of revenue, in terms of the income that they have, and in terms of the success they have. One of the most strange statistics that you can see is the life expectancy. The life expectancy of college graduates compared to the life expectancy of high school graduates that have not gone to college. And you wonder, why in the world is this true? Right? There are two reasons. Understanding the need for preventive care when you have gone to college and you have been exposed to different ideas and taking care of yourself. And number two, having the economic ability to be, the financial ability to be in a healthcare system. That's why you see even a difference in the life expectancy. And when we take, especially first generation students, and help them move up with this broad elevator that higher education is, they bring with them their family, their siblings, their parents. Because now there's somebody in the family that is going to do this for the rest of the family as well. So access and affordability is extremely important to me. Now, everybody is talking about the cost of higher education, our elected officials, and rightfully so. Right? One problem there is you're looking at the sticker price. This year, this freshman class that is coming in, when we are looking at South Carolinians, forget the out-of-state students, they come in because they want to be here and they want to pay. Otherwise, they wouldn't. When we are looking at South Carolinians, this freshman class, 1 out of 3, 35%, is going to pay 0 out of pocket when it comes to tuition and fees. 0 out of pocket. It cannot be cheaper than this. This is actually, and I want to give credit where credit is due. This is actually to the legislative acts that this state has taken. Number one, in terms of the merit scholarships that we put together over 10 years ago when I was here. Actually, it goes back to 20 years, the Life and Palmetto scholarships. But then supplemented it recently with a significant investment over the last 2 years in need-based funding. So we provide need-based scholarship as well to low-income students. And that allows us to do this. It is also a great agreement between understanding, let me put it this way, because there's no signed agreement of any type, right? But it's a common understanding between the legislative bodies and the universities that if we keep tuition constant and will not increase tuition, the state will cover part of the inflation problems that we have with new appropriations. And that has helped the universities for the last 4 years to keep tuition constant. So these are good steps and they're good examples of how the university can work with the elected officials and the General Assembly to achieve our common goal. The students also want to know, okay, that's fine, what else? You know, they're not getting satisfied easily. And one of the key issues for me is to make sure that in its new, and I don't know what kind of, is it the UofSC 6.0, 8.0, 11.0, but it's a new version. UofSC is going to be much more user-friendly. It's difficult to navigate through our systems. Universities are large and complex organizations, and we make them on our own even more complex than they have to be. So one of the priorities is make things simple for the university, make things simple for the students, for the parents, for companies that they may want to come and work with us, have a single point of reference so we can work better together. And they will want more. But you know, I'm kind of sick and tired listening into panels of experts that they're usually my age, right? And they pontificate about what the students want. If you want to know what the students want, you need to ask the students. So in the first couple of weeks, it's the second week of September, on a Sunday, no football game that Saturday, we will have a big event in the convention center in Colombia, bringing together 500 students and asking them to reimagine Carolina. What is it that you want to see in this university? And I suspect that we know 70 or 80% of what they will say. I'm betting on the 20% that they will give us some even better ideas than the ones that we have. And this is something that we will repeat across the system. The rest of the campuses, upstate, Beaufort, they're going to do this fall as well, asking the students, how do they reimagine the university through its whole entire system? And I'm very excited about this because we will hear their voices, which will guide what we're going to do. The faculty will want to know, what about me now? Right? What are we going to do differently? And our faculty, in addition to the work that they do, educating the students, play an extremely important role. Advancing knowledge as an R1 institution, we're very proud of the Research One designation that we have. Advancing knowledge, advancing culture, and advancing economic development. I want to stay with research for a couple of minutes because we will continue to do the very basic research that universities like UofSC are expected to do in order to continue to have the edge that this country has internationally when it comes to new discoveries. And that's something that is actually has changed over the last 40 years, almost 40 years that I have been in this country. When I came here in the 1980s, the US was running in this race alone. People were miles behind. By now, we have a very strong international competition when it comes to strong research from the basic to the applied research across the globe. And we need to make sure that we continue to win in this competition. It's not as easy anymore, and a lot of the investments that other countries have made do not mirror the investments that this country has made. So the universities continue to lead this race, and we need to look at black holes that NSF is funding. We need to look at nanotechnology that may not be applied for a couple of decades. Right? But at the same time, I think that there is a lot of room for universities to address technical, practical problems that your sectors are facing. And we have done it in Illinois, creating an innovation network across the state. That's what we will duplicate this year here. By the way, I don't mind at all copying success. I don't have to reinvent the wheel on everything that we do. We want to work with industry. We want to understand in manufacturing facilities, what are the problems that you're facing? Can we help? Because we have the expertise, we have some of the brightest young minds with a great advantage. The advantage that students have is they don't know what is impossible. When you are institutionalized, you recognize what is impossible and you don't do it anymore. But the students don't know what is impossible and they can achieve the impossible this way. So we want them to work with, and I'm looking at our friends from Michelin here because they sponsored the event today. We want to work closer with Michelin and ask the questions. What are your practical problems that we are facing? And if we put a team of 4 students together from different areas, business, engineering, design, can we address some of these problems? We will create a center and a portal to address exactly these issues. I know also from a meeting that we have with the Midlands Business Leadership Group that there is a lot of value, many of you place, onto studies that we do, that they are not actually hands-on gadgets, because we can work with gadgets, but they're also give you information about what can be done, what are the numbers, and what can be done to change the numbers in terms of the number of companies that we attract in this area, the number of employers that we have, moving from manufacturing to R&D as well. And when you have R&D near to manufacturing, magic happens, and that's how headquarters come into the state. Right? So for all of these reasons, I also pledged to the governor when we met that I would be delighted to go with him anywhere that he goes to try to attract business to South Carolina, and especially in Lexington County and Richland County, where we need it even more than some other areas of the state. So this is what I'm going to tell the faculty as well. Yes, we will continue to increase, and we need to increase the numbers of basic research. And yes, we will be more friendly to our friends in the corporate world, trying to actually solve some of the problems that they face on every day. And by the way, I will tell them as well the same thing that I will tell the students, that we also need to innovate and change the way that we conduct our business. We need to be more nimble, and we need to be faster in order to stay with the times. Otherwise, we run the risk of being irrelevant and losing the trust of the public. One visible thing that you will see, and I'm about done, I know you have day jobs in order to go to your jobs that I have to go to Buford, right? One visible thing that you will see is the change in our infrastructure when it comes to the health sciences. You will see, and sometime, God knows better than I do, maybe towards the end of the fall, the beginning of the winter, but sometime this academic year will break ground in the new campus that the Lexington Medical Center is putting together. But you will also see, at the same time, the new designs. It will take us a little bit longer to break ground there because we're not at that point, of a new $300 million state-of-the-art health sciences campus in downtown Colombia. We're moving from our traditional area, which was the VA hospital for 50 years. It's like Hong Kong, almost. We signed a very long lease, and this is coming to an end after so many decades. It's time to move somewhere else. But you will see these in the Bull Street district with a fantastic new state-of-the-art health sciences campus that will include both instructional facilities with innovative methods of preparing our healthcare provider, but also a strong research component there as well. I think this covered pretty much everything that I can tell you about the last 5 weeks where we're heading. So, by the way, for those of you who are wondering, of course you can do all of this and continue to win national championships in women's basketball, because Tony is going to do this, and win more football games. Don't ask me how many more, because I'm not calling the place. I told everybody I'm the president, and I'm not the coach of the football team. But there's a lot of excitement about athletics, as you know, during these times, and there are a lot of things that they're changing in athletics. You know of the more recent changes in a new round of realignment in terms of conferences, and quite frankly, I'm thrilled that I don't have to worry about this, because the SEC feels extremely comfortable where we are. The Big Ten is catching up to the SEC, and if I was one of the presidents of the other 3 Power 5 conferences, I would be worried right now of what the future is going to bring. We don't worry, we're in good shape in the SEC. So I hope that you will give me an opportunity to come back, not in 5 weeks, but in another year or so, because my style is one that I prefer to speak with actions more than to speak with words. Plus, the actions are visible, and you don't have to run subtitles under me to figure out what am I saying. My favorite quote actually is from Andrew Carnegie, who said over 100 years ago that as I grow older, I pay less attention to what they say, and I watch what they do. So please watch what we do at the University of South Carolina. Thank you for the invitation. Again, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you individually. And if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer questions as well. So thank you.